I looted 100 raider caches in Arc Raiders to find out if they're worth looting and if the uncovered caches event is worth spending time on or if it's just a bit of a waste. Spoiler alert, yeah, these things can be a really nice way to build a bunch of loadouts super quickly so you don't have to always run through loadouts. And they're also a nice source of blueprints and probably the best farm for med supplies in the game, which was a bit of a surprise. Let's break down the blueprints first. After looting 100 of these things across Spaceport, Buried City, and Blue Gate, I found 15 blueprints. That's a pretty good return for results here. Opening just 100 got me 15 different blueprints. So the blueprint drop rate here is definitely higher than a normal container. And I think that's pretty much expected. This can include the El Toro, Anvil, Venator, Osprey, Toronte, and the Patina. It can also drop the gun parts blueprints. Now, if you're looking for a very specific blueprint, you may still have to spend hours and hours looting these because there's no sort of protection against looting a blueprint you've already found. In fact, out of the 15 blueprints that I did find, 4 of those were heavy gun parts, 2 of those were an Osprey, I found a bunch of El Torres, a couple Torrentes, and some Venators as well. But I didn't find a single anvil, and anvils can spawn here. I also didn't find any light gun parts, which can spawn here. So what's interesting here is that the loot pool for the blueprints that can drop in a cache is quite large. So if you're looking for a specific blueprint, like I said, you do have to kind of get lucky. And honestly, I feel like you'd have more luck looking for, like, say, an anvil blueprint, just going to do traditional loot runs and making sure you hit the other radar style containers, which include the weapon case, the med bag, the grenade box, and the ammo box, as well as the raider backpack. So yeah, they're a great way to start off a new account if you're lacking on some of the early game blueprints, and you're definitely going to get them pretty quickly. In fact, just a few runs of uncovered caches, you're pretty much guaranteed to get quite a few of these. So if you're just starting off fresh, started a new expedition, the uncovered caches event might be the best place to start when it comes to blueprints. But once you've got those blueprints already, or you're missing maybe 1 or 2, uncovered caches for blueprint farming no longer seems very viable. You're going to waste a lot of time, and what you'll get out of it is not much. However, there is something that you'll get out of it that's pretty cool. So every raider cache has a random variety of meds, shields, weapons, and just raider utility items, and sometimes some crafting things like processors and sensors. Now, what is abundantly clear is the number of bandages and medium shields that you'll get from the raider caches. The weapons you can get can sometimes be alright. Usually they're just like common weapons. I've seen a Stitcher 4 before, but it's usually like a Kettle 2 or sometimes maybe an Arpeggio 2 or an El Toro 2, which is nice to build up, but it's not anything groundbreaking. But what is groundbreaking is this. Take a look at how many bandages I have. All of these herbal bandages I got from about 7 raids in Arc Raiders, just looting caches in the Uncovered Caches event. It probably took about an hour and a half, close to 2 hours. Obviously, I was farming for the video, so yeah, I mean, nobody's going to spend this long just farming Uncovered Caches, but if you need herbal bandages, this is the fastest way in the game possible. And if you do like a few runs of it, you've got enough to set yourself up for a bunch of loadouts, which is amazing. And not only that, take a look at this. Look at how many medium shields I ended up getting. They drop like crazy in uncovered caches. Now, you could also take all of these sort of, common weapons back home. I've done a lot of that as well. So you can see all of these anvil ones, arpeggios. I've managed to gather that throughout the day. But it got to a point where I just ran out of stash space and I had to sell a bunch of stuff. This is not a good money-making method by far, but after about 16 runs, I went from 100k to now 700k. More importantly, I have all of these bandages and all of these shields, which means I've got a massive quick start for building out loadouts if I get eliminated now, which is quite nice. That's probably one of the most underrated features about these caches. And I thought I'd do a bit of an experiment. I waited till it was Buried City uncovered caches. You could do the same on Dam or Spaceport as well, or even Blue Gate. You go and do the outskirts of the map. You run around the outskirts, you open up Metaforge with the map in the background so you know where all of the caches spawn, and you run to each spawn location. Within about 30 meters of each spawn, you stop for a second, you listen out. If you hear a raider cache, you go and loot it. If you don't, then you keep on moving. The sound for the raider cache starts at 45 meters. So as long as you're in a 30-meter distance, you're going to hear it pretty well. But what's really interesting about these raider cache spawns is, like I said, they're at the outskirts of the map. Is pretty much right on top of most Great Mullen spawns. So you can go and do a few runs of this every now and again to loot the uncovered caches and pick up the Great Mullen at the same time, and you're going to end up getting so much medical supplies out of it. Like, you will never have to worry about getting herbal bandages ever again. If you feel like you're running low, just do literally a few uncovered caches runs. You're going to be rolling in meds. It's ridiculous. It beats going to Galleria or any like contested spot like the Trench on Spaceport, because most of these farmable mullen, which are all around the map, people don't really pay much attention to, right? So if you see an uncovered caches event, you need some meds, you could build up a nice stash so fast. And, you know, doubling up the raider caches and the mullen spawns together is crazy. It's unbelievable how quick it happens. So I never even have to worry about buying these meds from the trader or trying to go and farm Great Mullen myself ever again, because this strat works amazing. Now, I did try across a few different maps, and I also tried the Cold Snap map condition, where there are uncovered caches there, which you have to breach open. The breachable ones on Cold Snap definitely have a different loot pool. I mean, one loot spot is always reserved for the candleberries for a start, but the overall loot quality was much worse. I seem to get blueprints around about the same, but I never got a medium shield. Instead, I just got a bunch of light shields, and overall, I rarely got that many loot items out of each cache. So if you're looking to get a bunch of loot, I wouldn't recommend doing it in Cold Snap. Not only do you have to deal with the cold, which is difficult as it is, then don't even get that much loot out of these things, because no way near as good as in comparison to the normal uncovered caches for some reason, which is a bit of a shame. You'd think you're taking more risk, it's probably going to be better loot, but no, it's actually the opposite. Now, I wanted to take a picture of every single loot run I did. All of the loot in my inventory is pretty much the loot I got from each run today. I did end up dropping the cheaper stuff. I didn't hold on to all the ammo. I didn't hold on to the basic bandages. So there's some stuff that we just dropped along the way. But for the most part, you can see here how we're getting some pretty basic weapons. It's usually a common or uncommon weapon, and it's usually level 1 to level 4, usually level 2, I would say, on average. But the variety is really quite interesting. You've got pretty much every single crafting item possible, from, you know, something like a rope to all the way to Exodus modules and everything in between. You've also got pretty much every grenade type and also every single ammo type in the game. So it's just a real nice mix of stuff. Well, no launcher ammo, I want to make that clear. Very big mix of stuff. So to me, if you're absolutely out of luck, you're always running free loadouts, and you just feel like you don't have any of the stuff to craft anything, just do uncovered caches, and it kind of fills in all the gaps, right? It picks up where you may be missing out. It's basically a potluck for all of the crafting items in the game, which is kind of cool in a way. For early game, these are absolutely amazing. For later game players, not so much. So yeah, pretty cool item in the game, actually, and I think they're pretty overlooked. Regardless, next time you're playing a normal raid and you hear one of these ticking, I would say it's probably worth looting, especially if you're missing out on some meds or you still need some of these blueprints. What do you think? Let me know. Cheerio.